A debut album from this artist dropped last week called Detours and Exits. You can find it on all social media platforms. I'm talking to Laura Keightley of KYTLY. Hi, Laura. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm great. And you're talking to me from Hamilton, Ontario. That's where you're living these days. And you've lived there for a while, though.
Yeah, I've lived out just outside of Toronto for about 7 years now. I was in Toronto for like the 2 decades before that. So, yeah.
And before that, you're from England.
Yeah, I'm from England. I grew up there and I moved over to Canada as a teenager, not far from where you are, actually. Like, I went to high school out in southwestern Ontario in a small town called Petrolia.
That's not far from where I am. That's probably a half hour away.
Yeah.
So you just dropped an album. You were part of a band before, though, the Caraways, and that was in your Toronto days. And now you've gone to school. You've done some film school and designer production on TV and film productions.
Yeah, I have a pretty good career decorating and designing and art directing in art departments for television shows. I belong to the Directors Guild of Canada and IATSE.
So the creative process is not new to you, and you're really musically inclined, and you've wanted to put out music, and now is the time.
Yes, it's all about the timing. I had, as we do, creatives, I've had the urge to really focus on putting a body of work together over the last 7 years many times, but just many obstacles in the way. I'm also a mother. I have 2 young children. So, prioritizing my time and just finding the spaces to breathe and to write has been challenging. Yeah.
Well, I saw a video on your Instagram where you're taking some creative time and playing a song to your phone, and then your daughter comes up, it's time to go swimming.
Yeah, that's just a snapshot of every day.
Yeah. Well, congratulations for finding the time for this album. It's really got a 90s feel to it. Like, I feel like it's Mazzy Star meets Shirley Manson with a little bit of Jagged Little Pill rage in there. You know what I mean?
Amazing. Yes. Well, I'm a 90s girl. Like, my love of music came from that period, that angsty 90s rock that, it was in my ears every day. As I said, like, I had this taste of rural Ontario through those, challenging years of figuring out who you are as a teenager, and that kind of music really spoke to me and molded me into who I am today. So I hear it in there, and it's true to who I am and the musicians that inspired me.
Not only do we go through hard times getting to know ourselves when we're teenagers, but as we grow up, like, we're older now, and this album sounds like you've had your share of stuff going on, and I feel like it's one of those albums that if you have that kind of stuff going on in your life, you can really relate to the lyrics and even the music. The Not Jealous Type. Love that one.
Oh, thank you.
And Begin Again. Did you release that last year, like ahead of this whole album?
Yeah, I did. At the beginning of the year, I released that single. I wasn't quite mastered yet, the rest of the songs, but I really wanted to share that one. It's one of my favorites from the album. Yeah.
Okay, and so this album was written during the pandemic, and you recorded it remotely.
Yes, it was shaped and arranged through the pandemic. A lot of my songs were written, at different periods and then reworked. But, film shut down. Everyone remembers everything shut down. And I just went from being always super busy to having the time to work on this. And my friend Brian in LA also wasn't touring. Every time we were let's work on something together, he'd be in Europe touring, and he'd be like, okay, when I get back. So we both were at home. We're both in our studios, and he's like, send me all the stuff that we've been trying to work on, and let's go through it. And we just we did it so slowly. We did 3 or 4 songs at a time. We sent files back. He sent files back. I did ghost vocals, and then he got musicians to play, and then I went in the studio when there was 3 or 4 songs and sent back finals. And we did it all through the ether and through Zoom and through FaceTime, and it was so professional and it was so easy to do that way. I got shocked because I've been in the studio before with everybody, and it's a different vibe, but this was what I think we needed to do to make it happen. But it was enjoyable.
So do you think if you had the choice of doing it at a studio live with all your musicians that are playing with you, or do you think your next album that you would do it remotely again?
I think so. I mean, both. It was an experience, and the process of editing was more readily available because there was no rush, there was no deadline, there was no like studio booked for 3 days kind of thing. So in that sense, we were able to really get the product that we wanted. But there's something beautiful that comes from having the live energy of music, which isn't comparable. So I think both. I think I'll probably do both processes.
Okay. And speaking of live music, do you have some dates where you're going to be playing live?
Yes, we're just confirming the actual dates, but we're going to be releasing those very soon. So those will be posted on my webpage. I have a Bandcamp coming up and Bandzoogle, and then of course my social media. So we're looking at the end of May, beginning of June, and we're also hoping to announce some festivals are in the works.
Awesome. And you had some veteran players on this album. You have an artist from Fountains of Wayne, one from Afghan Wigs, and J.K. Harrison, who played with Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys.
Yeah, I know. That's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah.
And Mark Crozer of Jesus and Mary Chain, too.
Yeah, so Brian, who produced this album, he played drums with the Jesus and Mary Chain for a long time touring, and that's why him actually at one of their shows. So he sent the songs around when we were demoing to some friends of his, musicians, these people, and they were like, yeah, I'd love to play on it. So when he got back to me and said, so I've got, Mark playing on this, Kelly playing on this, I was like looking everyone up and being like, do they know who I am? Like, why do they want to play on my music? So it was really, I'd have to say that was one of the most encouraging aspects of making this album, was just working with such professionals and also musicians that I've grown up listening to. Like, it's so cool.
Are any of them going to be playing live with you when you play some dates in May and June?
Unfortunately, no, but that's not to say it won't happen in the future. For our Canadian shows, it's very complicated playing in Canada because everyone's based in LA and New York. So for our Canadian debut shows, I actually have quite an amazing Canadian band backing me up. So details on that will be released shortly too.
Okay. So what is your favorite song to play off of this new album?
To play live, I really dig playing Whiskey Kisses live because of the energy. It's high energy, it's fun, it's light,
It will be the song that gets everybody jumping up and down for sure.
I hope so. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, congratulations on your new album, Detours and Exits. You can find it on all the social media platforms. Check out Laura on Instagram, of course, under KYTLY. And best of luck with your new album and your upcoming gigs.
Thank you so much. And I hope to play out near you, at some point this summer and fall.